TalkFCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And I'm absolutely gutted because Barcelona have lost to Valencia. It was Quique Setién's first big test. It was these players' first big test. And unfortunately, we have fallen down at Mestalla. Valencia 2, Barcelona 0. And in today's video, we're going to try and go over exactly what went wrong, why it went wrong, and if we can put it right and how soon that may happen. So all of that coming up and more. It's a disappointing day. It's certainly not what we'd hoped for. We were confident, we were hopeful, we were optimistic coming into this game, but it hasn't happened for Barcelona. We've fallen down. A big loss here to Valencia. And before we do go on with the game, with the lineup, with all the things that happened here against Valencia today, what I would just like to say before we start there is, above all else, guys, what we have to do here is have a bit of patience. Because admittedly, there'll be frustration today. Of course, there'll be anger. There'll be very, very unhappy people, of course, with how the game went down. And I can completely understand that. We're all frustrated. We all come here wanting Barcelona to do well. That's all we want. That's literally all we want. And it just somehow seems like these players, whoever's in charge, it doesn't happen there out on the field. But what we must retain there is that sense of patience. Things do not happen overnight. We've seen it in the past. I want to talk here about Pep Guardiola. His first two games in charge of Barcelona, he lost to newly promoted Numancia, and then at home at the Camp Nou, he drew 1-1 with Racing Santander. Those were the two first games of Pep Guardiola's era at Barcelona, and those two games came after having a full pre-season with his team. Now look, Setién is not Guardiola. I'm not saying here that Setién is going to go on and do anything like what we saw from Pep, but it's just an example there. Give the guy time. He's come in, he's clearly working the players very, very hard. Looking at the fitness levels today, I still think Barcelona are nowhere near where they need to be. Valencia and Barcelona, it was like night and day. Valencia were all action, all running, so much passion, so much enthusiasm in their play, real energy in their style, whereas Barcelona, once again today, completely flat, no life, energyless, and it was very, very poor right throughout that team today, and it is disappointing. But at the end of the day, let's still have some faith. Setién here, this is just his second league game in charge. He's still getting to know these players. He's still trying to get his ideas transmitted to the players. And I think there's a very, very big now week left in this transfer window, because I think we've got to go out and we've got to find something. We'll be talking about that later on in the video. But ultimately, guys, as best as we can, let's stay hopeful. Because this here was how Quique Setién lined up at Mestalla. Ter Stegen in goal. Jordi Alba here once again played very, very high on the left-hand side, mostly like a wing-back or even a winger at times. Samuel Umtiti there. Gerard Piqué along the back, and also Sergio Roberto there once again played as this sort of centre-back. You then had Ansu Fati, who played very much so almost like a wing-back there on the right-hand side. You had Busquets, De Jong and Arthur in midfield, with Messi there alongside Antoine Griezmann. Now that, on the face of it, looked like a very, very good lineup. We were very excited about that. We were really excited to see De Jong, Busquets and Arthur there in midfield. That looked like a really good combination there, and it was something we thought could certainly work out in this kind of game. What we had the real trouble with today, and this is what I mean about the transfer window, it was when Messi decided, of course, to drop in. He'll come out to the right-hand side, he'll come out to the left-hand side. You know that Messi is going to be looking for the ball, and when that happens, Griezmann is all alone. And I didn't feel as though today Griezmann made the right touches, made the right movement, was in the right areas to get the ball. He wasn't in that sort of poacher position that you need when you're playing possession football, when you're dominating the ball, when you're having so much of it, like we did for much of the game today. You need somebody there consistently in the right areas that you can find them, that you can have a chance created and you can score a goal. Today, we didn't really look like scoring for much of that game, and we are lacking in those forward areas. Ansu Fati, he's just 17 years old. He's not even much gone 17. He's only just turned 17. This is not really the place that you want to be throwing him in, game out. But the problem is right now, no Suarez, no Dembele, Carlos Perez is leaving as well. We've got no one. We've got no depth at all in those attacking areas, and things only improved when Arturo Vidal came on. And when Vidal came on, it was almost an immediate impact there. He came on, he was getting into attacking areas, he was making runs, because that's all it takes. We don't need somebody who's an amazing centre forward. You just need there somebody who's going to occupy the defence, who's actually there, going to take a few risks and cause a bit of uncertainty in your team, because you don't want to make yourselves incredibly predictable. And that's the problem that Barcelona right now seem to be slipping into. Possession possession is a good thing, having the ball is a good thing, but it's using the ball in the right way. Don't allow you to become very predictable, to be easily read by the opponent, and that's what it was today, because every single time here Barcelona were working the ball in the midfield area. We weren't really finding Griezmann. Messi was getting on the ball. He wasn't at his best today. Neither was Frenkie de Jong, I feel. Neither was Busquets. There was a number of players in there today who didn't play particularly well, and every time we lost it, it was like this. We were forward there was a huge gap between defence and midfield, and suddenly then, Valencia were running at our back three. And the problem there with the back three is, when you get nice and narrow there, when you're certainly having the three all together as centre-backs, Valencia exposed us in those wide areas. Time and time again, they were having balls out wide, they were playing balls in behind, and Valencia were really getting joy down the wings, and certainly there, Barcelona have their problems. Quique Setién has a number of things that he'll need to look at, that he'll need to evaluate. He'll need to think, who can I bring in here to improve this team? And certainly now, big days to come in the transfer window, a big time to come now for Quique Setién and his staff. We need to work on a lot of things. But look guys, that's not exactly news to us, is it? It's not really a massive shock here that Barcelona have fallen down in an away game. I don't think we should pretend here like this has never happened before. Like if it was under Valverde, we would have won this game easily and everything would be fine. Barcelona now, for as long as I can remember, in recent years, have had a serious problem going away from home and first of all, matching the intensity of their opponents. Every single away game against a big team, we struggle there to just match the effort. And that's the problem here. You can talk about Setién, you can talk about Valverde. One thing we've always said about these players, you've got to work harder. You've got to want it more. As a Barcelona player, regardless of who's your coach, regardless there of what sort of style you want to play, the number one requirement when you put that shirt on, play for that badge. Go out there and do whatever is possible for you to do to try and win that game, to try and win the ball back, to try and chase back there and get a tackle in. Because today, once again, Barcelona completely flat, and that's not good enough for players there paid as highly as they are, massive, massive players in the game of football. It was not good enough. And it's the same mistakes. We're seeing here the same failures from Barcelona time and time again. You look at the goals there. Ter Stegen bailed us out on a number of occasions. Brilliant penalty save there from Maxi Gomez. He was a player, of course, in the match preview that we did highlight. We said, look, you've got to watch out there for Maxi Gomez. He loves playing against Barcelona. He scored against us in the past, but no. Maxi Gomez all game long was picking up so much room. He was dropping off. We weren't tracking him. He had so many chances in front of goal, and it was only a matter of time really before one went in. It went in there pretty unluckily off Jordi Alba. It's actually gone down now as an own goal, and then later on in the game, he made it 2-0, and Valencia actually could have been 3-0, but Gabriel Paulista had a goal disallowed to actually there save Barcelona's blotches. We did have a few chances down the other end. In the first half, there was absolutely nothing. We did dominate possession, but there was nothing really at the end of it. And we did have more shots on goal today than Valencia, but it wasn't really good enough there in that final third. I think Lionel Messi had a few chances, probably could have scored 1 or 2 goals. I think Messi, like I say, wasn't at his best today, and that's been the case now for the past few games, whereby Messi has not really felt at his very, very best, at his highest level. Of course, it was still good today. He was still getting on the ball. He was still creating things. He was still by far and away our biggest chance of scoring, but it didn't quite happen. And I'd look at Frenkie de Jong as well. Like I say there, he wasn't at his best today, and there's a lot of players in that team that if they played a bit better, if we'd actually seen there a higher level from them today, it could have been different. Because at 1-0, yes, we were down. It was disappointing, but there were chances there, just little glimpses that we could have put back in the game, and a goal either way could have changed things. But the bottom line is today, Barcelona have lost here to Valencia. It's a big, big blow. Certainly now in the Spanish media, they are going to be getting on Setién's back. They're going to be putting the pressure on their coach, which is going to make things very, very difficult. I think Setién is going to be getting the players in now for some serious, serious training, as he's been doing all along. And that's the good thing here, because usually under Valverde, if we'd lost this kind of game, it would usually be, well, you know, the players now can have 2 or 3 days off to get themselves over this. But I think with Setién, we're going to see a very, very different approach. This is the first big hurdle here that he has to overcome. And I think he's going to be telling those players, we're in tomorrow. We need to work, because quite clearly, we're not where he wants us to be. And I will certainly here have patience with Quique Setién. Number one, because we've got no choice. We've got Setién now. We wanted him to come in. We wanted him here to change the style of football. And if you want somebody to do that, you've got to give them time. You're not going to come in and change everything everything overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. Yeah, we got more possession now, but of course then the next thing is focusing on how you use that, how you create chances, how you score more goals. That's what we have to do now, and that's the problem. We now have to look at what we're doing. Setién's got to get in that training field. You've got to talk to the players. You've got to look at your best options. Do we need to play Arturo Vidal every single game? Is he somebody now who needs to be included? Because quite clearly when he came on, there was a clear improvement. And like I keep saying, that transfer market is crucial. For me, Rodrigo is not going to be the answer. He's not the kind of forward we need. If anything, you look at something like Maxi Gomez. Maxi Gomez is much more suited to what we need there as a number 9 as opposed to Rodrigo Moreno. Moreno likes to play off Maxi Gomez. Maxi Gomez is the number 9. We need somebody who's an out-and-out number 9 goal scorer who's going to be in and around the box and is going to be there to pick up some chances and hopefully score us some goals. So please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I can understand, like I say, many of you guys will be very, very disappointed. I completely understand that. But I will see you soon, guys, with more videos. I'm sorry that it couldn't be better today. I really, really am. But hopefully, things will improve. And until next time, as always, Vasca! El Barça.